A cry beneath alien stars night was quiet, but not peaceful. The alien sky above was filled with stars, shining coldly over the frozen land. Winds blew softly across the snow-covered plains. There was no sound of life, no voices, no warmth, only silence, and a soft cry. A young alien mother walked slowly, barefoot, across the snow. Her skin was pale and glowing faintly in the dark. Her long silver hair clung to her face, wet from melting snow. In her thin arms, she held a small baby wrapped in cloth. The baby was weak, too weak. It cried softly, but even that cry was fading. The mother's name was Soriel. Her people had once lived in the hills, but now the village was gone, destroyed in a raid. Her mate was dead. Her family was gone. Only her child remained. And now, even that life was slipping away. "Please," she whispered, looking up at the stars. "Just one meal, for my child." But the stars did not answer. Her Bodhi had given everything. Her milk had dried up days ago. Her legs trembled. Her feet were bleeding from the cold. Still, she walked. Not for herself, but for the small life breathing in her arms. Behind her, the trail of her steps was barely visible. Snow fell gently, covering her path. The wind howled, but she did not stop. She had heard stories of humans. Strange beings from the stars. Dangerous, some said. Kind, others claimed. One ship. Just one. That's what she was hoping for. And then, a light dot, far ahead, across the snowy field, a beam of light came from the sky. It was not a star. It was moving. Slow, steady, and glowing bright orange. Soriel stopped and stared. "A ship," she whispered, her voice shaking. She dropped to her knees. Not from fear, but from exhaustion. Her body could go no further. Her breath came in sharp gasps. The baby in her arms cried once, then fell, silent. "No," she said, holding the child close. "Please, please, stay." Tears rolled down her face, freezing before they could fall. She rocked the baby gently, whispering old lullabies, songs her own mother had sung. But there was no food, no warmth, no strength left in her. The light in the sky grew larger, closer. It was a ship, a human ship. It roared as it landed in the snow nearby. The wind from its engines blew across the field, pushing snow into the air. Soriel shielded her baby, wrapping herself over the child to protect it. Then silence again. The ship's door opened with a soft hiss. Warm golden light poured out onto the cold white snow. A tall human stepped out, dressed in dark clothes and boots. He looked around, scanning the area. His name was Captain Liam Thorne. He heard something, a sound soft, weak, a cry. He walked carefully across the snow, toward the sound. His boots crunched with every step. And then he saw her, a woman, alien, kneeling in the snow, barely conscious, holding a baby in her arms. Her eyes were half closed, but when she saw him, she looked up. Their eyes met. No words were spoken. There was only pain, fear, and something else. Hope. Liam did not raise his weapon. He didn't call for backup. He walked slowly, stopping just a few steps away. Soriel looked at him. Her lips moved. One word. He didn't understand the language, but the meaning was clear. Help. She tried to stand, but her legs gave out. Liam rushed forward and caught her. The baby slipped from her arms, but Liam grabbed the child before it could fall. The baby was light and cold. "She needs help," he said quietly, looking at the mother. Soriel nodded weakly. Without waiting, Liam turned and carried them both into the ship. The warm air hit them like a wave. Soriel gasped. The baby whimpered against Till. Alive, but only just. Liam laid them on a padded surface, wrapped them in thermal blankets, and called for medical scans. "Who are you?" he whispered, looking at the mother. Soriel didn't answer. She had already passed out from the cold, but her arms never stopped holding the baby. The human with gentle iced ship's lights dimmed as the door closed behind Captain Liam Thorne. Inside the vessel, warmth returned slowly, but the cold still clung to the skin of the two visitors he had just brought in. Liam stood still, watching the strange, delicate alien mother lying unconscious on his medbay table. Her baby, now wrapped in a thermal cocoon, lay quietly beside her, chest rising and falling with each faint breath. He had seen many things in the galaxy: planets on fire, cities made of crystal, creatures that spoke without mouths, but never had he seen a moment like this. Mother who had given everything, who had wandered alone across snow and death, just to keep her child alive. AI, scan her vitals, he said. Voice calm but urgent. The ship's voice replied, soft and mechanical. Alien female, species unknown. Condition: severe dehydration, hypothermia, and physical exhaustion. Infant, malnourished but stable. Liam took a breath. She's alive, just barely. He opened a drawer and pulled out an emergency nutrient pack. It wasn't much, but it was something. He sat beside the mother, unwrapped the child's thin blanket, and gently touched the baby's lips with a soft-tipped feeding tube. The baby stirred, mouth searching, then latched on weakly. He smiled for a moment, just a small one, but then the screen on the wall blinked red. Unauthorized contact detected. Report automatically sent to Central Fleet Command. Liam's heart dropped. No, he had strict orders. Do not engage with unidentified alien species without command clearance. This mother, this baby, were now considered a breach of protocol. He tapped the screen, tried to cancel the alert, but it was already gone. Sent. They'll come, he muttered, and they won't ask questions. Liam turned his eyes back to the woman. Slowly, she began to stir. Her fingers twitched. Her eyes fluttered open. The moment she saw him, she flinched and reached for her child. Heisey, he said, lifting his hands in peace. He's okay. He's safe. She didn't understand the words, but his tone, soft, low, careful, was like music. She stared at him. Her skin shimmered faintly in the light. Scars on her arms, bruises, and strength behind her eyes. Liam reached over, picked up a small notepad, and drew a stick figure of a man offering food to a mother and baby. He showed it to her. Her eyes widened. A small nod. Yes, she understood. He pointed to himself, then placed a hand on his chest. Liam. She hesitated, then touched her chest. Frail. Their names were exchanged in the only language that truly mattered, trust. But just as that fragile connection formed, the ship shuddered. An alert rang out. Incoming signal. Patrol ship on approach. Eta. 15 minutos. Damn it, Liam said. They're fast. He looked at Sariel. She was still too weak to move. The baby couldn't survive outside this ship's warmth. If the patrol arrived, they would scan everything. They would take her. Maybe kill her. Maybe worse. I have to hide you, he said. He picked up the baby first, wrapped her tightly, then lifted Sariel into his arms again. She was light. Too light. He carried them both down a short corridor, through a sliding panel into the ship's storage bay. There, in the far corner, was an old escape pod, no longer functional, but shielded. No scans could read through it. He placed them inside, whispered, "Stay quiet," and sealed the hatch. He stood for a moment, staring at the pod, staring at the lives inside. Then he walked back to the main deck. Minutes later, 2 armed soldiers entered the ship. "Captain Thorne," one said coldly, "you broke contact protocol. We tracked your unauthorized signal." Liam crossed his arms. "Just a malfunction. Nothing here." Scans said otherwise. Scans were wrong. The second soldier stepped forward. "We'll inspect the ship, ourselves." Liam didn't flinch. "Be my guest." They searched, room by room, chamber by chamber. They came close, so close to the hidden pod. One soldier paused near it, narrowing his eyes. Liam stepped in. "You suspect me of smuggling aliens now." The man turned slowly. "We suspect you of hiding something." Liam stared at him, eyes calm but strong. "You'll find nothing but metal and regrets in this room. Go ahead, open it, but you better be right." For a moment, silence. Then the soldiers backed off. "Fine, but this isn't over." They left. Liam waited until the engines were gone, until silence returned. Then he opened the pod. Ariel blinked at him, confused. He gave a tired smile. "You're safe, for now." One meal, one chance at the hidden pod hissed open. Warm air flowed out, and Captain Liam Thorne bent down. Inside, Sariel looked up at him, confused, tired, but alive. Her arms still curled tightly around her baby, who now rested quietly in her embrace. "It's okay," Liam whispered. "They're gone." Sariel blinked slowly, her breath visible in the faint light. Her body still trembled from exhaustion. But there was something stronger in her now, something more than survival. Trust. He helped her out of the pod gently and carried them both back to the med bay. The baby stirred, gave a soft whimper, and Liam quickly warmed a liquid nutrient pack. He dipped the feeding end and offered it. The baby drank. "Good," Liam breathed, smiling slightly. "That's good." Suriel watched every move. Her eyes followed Liam like a silent guardian. She didn't speak his language, but she understood what mattered. He was trying. Hours passed. Liam gave them clean blankets, food, and warmth. Suriel slowly sat up, wrapped in a gray thermal wrap. She looked around at the screens, the blinking lights, the ship's hum. Then she noticed the drawings. On one wall, Liam had sketched pictures, simple things, stars, planets, food, people. Smiling, he handed her the pen. Hesitating at first, she then took it and drew dot first. Her village, small dome houses, happy faces. Then, fire. Figures with weapons, smoke, destruction. Her drawing hand trembled as she drew a tall figure following her mate. Then, a small child, crying. Liam stared, silent. His chest tightened. She pointed to the child, then to herself, then to the baby. Liam understood. Her home was gone, her mate dead. Only she and the child survived. She had walked through death to find help, not for herself, but for her baby. As the ship floated in orbit over the frozen planet, Liam made a choice. He activated the comm screen and opened a log entry. Log entry 84. Captain Thorne. Incident report. Unknown alien female rescued from extreme weather conditions. Infant in critical condition but stable. No signs of hostility. Language barrier present, but peaceful behavior confirmed. Decision made to provide temporary shelter and aid until further orders. He saved the entry, but didn't send it. Not yet, because he knew what would happen. If command received that log, they'd send another squad. They'd take her away, treat her as an experiment, not a mother. The child would be studied, not raised. He looked at Soriel again. No, he couldn't do that the next day. Soriel stood for the first time, weak, but determined. She walked through the ship slowly, exploring. Every sound was new. Every screen, every object amazed her. The baby was wrapped tightly against her chest, sleeping peacefully. Liam watched her from the main deck. He brought out a ration meal, warm, soft food made for recovery. She looked at it, hesitant. He smiled, tore a small piece, and tasted it first, then offered it again. This time, she accepted. Soriel ate quietly, her eyes never leaving Liam's. Her hands shook slightly, not from fear, but from hunger. Every bite was careful, sacred. Then she stopped. The baby stirred again, whimpering. Sariel unwrapped her chest and looked down. Nothing, her milk was still gone. She looked up at Liam with tears in her eyes, and for the first time she spoke a single word, please. He stepped closer, gently took the baby, cradled her, and fed her from the soft tube. The baby drank, stronger this time. Sariel cried silently. Her hands covered her face. This wasn't just a meal. This was her last hope being answered, but peace never lasted long in deep space. The ship's alert buzzed again. Message received. Command requesting full report of planetfall. Review pending. Possible ship recall in 48 hours. Liam stood up, fists clenched. He had to decide: follow orders, or protect the lives in his care. He looked at the sleeping mother and child. Then, a plan formed. That night, he approached Sariel and showed her a star map. He pointed at their current location, then at another system, remote, peaceful, forgotten. A small outpost planet where humans didn't patrol often. Sariel leaned forward, studying the blinking light. Liam mimed a ship flying away. Then he pointed at her, then at the baby, then at that system. Safe, he said. She looked at him, long, deep, then nodded. The story she cannot save. Ship's engines hummed like a heartbeat in the silence of space. Captain Liam Thorne sat at the control panel, staring at the blinking red alert. Fleet command response pending. Departure orders may follow. He leaned back slowly. The weight of 2 lives rested on his shoulders. Not human lives, but they mattered just the same, maybe more. In the med bay behind him, Sariel sat quietly, her baby sleeping against her chest. Her skin had gained a bit of color. Her eyes were open wider now, stronger, alert. She watched everything, but she still could not speak his words, and Liam couldn't speak hers. Yet, she wanted him to understand, so that night, she told her story, not with voice, but with pictures, gestures, and painful expressions that spoke louder than sound. She walked to the floor panel, where Liam had left chalk for her. Slowly, she knelt and began to draw. First, a circle with hills, homes, children, food, a peaceful village. Liam watched from the doorway. Next, she drew tall, shadowy figures, invaders with sharp weapons and fire. They descended like darkness from the sky. She mimed the panic people running. Her hands shook. Then she drew herself standing in front of her home, holding a baby, while a male stood behind her, shielding them. She pointed at the figure and touched her heart, her mate. Liam nodded slowly. She showed him beings falling. Her hand paused on that part of the drawing for a long time. Her eyes were wet. She drew herself fleeing into the snow, the baby in her arms, alone. A long line walked, cold, ice, stars above, then a tiny dot. Liam's ship. She looked at him, her hand flat over the final image. He understood. She had lost everything: her people, her mate, her warmth, and walked through death itself for a single chance. One hope, a stranger in a ship. Liam knelt beside her and added a drawing of his own. A small starship flying away toward another system, one filled with green trees, lakes, and sun. Sariel tilted her head. He drew 3 figures, a human, a woman like her, and a child, all standing side by side. She stared for a long moment, then she smiled just slightly. But peace shattered moments later. The ship jolted, alarms lit up. A red symbol blinked, unauthorized scan detected, tracking beacon locked on. They're coming back, Liam whispered. They know. He jumped into the pilot seat, bringing up the nav screen. 2 ships, heading fast. Fleet interceptors. He had maybe 10 minutes before they'd be close, enough to force a transmission or board. He looked back. Sariel held the baby tightly, her eyes wide with fear. The baby stirred, sensing danger. Liam made his decision. He turned off the ship's ID beacon. Manual override initiated. He shut down the communications relay. Signal blackout engaged. He pulled the controls, sharply veering away from orbit. Toward the dense asteroid field nearby, his ship rocked. Proximity alert, asteroids incoming. Yeah, he muttered. I see them. He needed to hide just long enough to jump. To hyperspace. The alien mother clung to a safety bar as the ship rattled and tilted. The baby cried again, frightened by the sound. Sariel whispered something softly into her child's ear, rocking her gently. Liam weaved the ship between jagged rocks, barely missing impact behind him. The pursuing ships closed in. Fleet Command, requesting immediate hailing response. You are out of compliance, Captain Thorne. He shut off the voice. Not today, he said. He punched the final code. Coordinates set. Refuge, Sector 379. Just one more minute. But the fleet wasn't waiting. A blast hit the rear shields. The ship spun slightly. Hang on. Liam dove. Behind a large asteroid. Silent running activated. He drifted there, watching as the other ships passed above, searching. He waited, counted the seconds, watched. The radar. Then clear. He fired the hyperspace jump. Everything outside blurred into starlight. The baby finally stopped crying. Liam let out a long, slow breath. His hands shook, but he held it together. Soriel came beside him. She touched his hand, gently. He looked at her. She said a word, soft, quiet, her voice shaking. Thank you. He stared out his language. She'd learned it, just one word, but it meant everything. Run or fight, for her. Stars twisted into long white lines outside the ship as it surged through hyperspace. Everything was quiet again, but it was the kind of quiet that feels heavy. Like silence before a storm. Captain Liam Thorne sat alone. In the cockpit, his hands gripping the controls too tightly. Behind him, in the medical cabin, Sariel gently rocked her baby, humming a low melody in her alien tongue. The child had stopped crying, but Liam hadn't. He knew what he had done. He had defied orders. Lead to command. Hidden an alien mother and child on a human military vessel. And now, he was running from his own people. But still, he didn't regret it. They reached the edge of refuge Sector 379. It was far from human patrol space. Only old listening posts and quiet trade routes passed here. No law, no comfort. Just space and silence. The ship slowed and dropped out of hyperspace, drifting into the shadow of a massive, broken moon. Liam turned off every signal system. No pings, no trace. For now, they were invisible, but not for long. We'll rest here, he whispered. He walked into the med bay. Sariel looked up quickly, her body still alert, always ready to protect the child, even in exhaustion. He knelt beside her. You're safe. For now. She understood the word. Safe. She had said it back to him once, in a whisper. Liam brought her another ration pack. He handed her water, and then checked the child. The baby was sleeping again, the faintest smile on her face. But the moment felt too perfect, too still. Just as Liam stood to leave, a loud bang rocked the ship. Metal groaned, lights flickered. What the hell? An alert flared on the screen. External contact detected. Unknown ship approaching. Weapons online. Liam bolted to the control panel. A large vessel had appeared from the shadow of the moon. Dark, worn, and jagged. Not military, not official. Pirates. Scavengers. They must have been hiding here, waiting for a ship like his to wander in blind. Liam cursed. I shut everything off. How did they find us? The ship's voice replied calmly. Stealth signature detected. Scavenger beacon tracking non-pinged vessels. They weren't just hunters. They hunted ghost ships, vessels hiding. Like his. Liam's single quotes est clenched. They were coming to board. He ran to Sariel. You have to hide again now. She stared, eyes wide. He lifted her and the child, rushing back to the escape pod chamber. He opened the shielded capsule, helped her climb inside, and closed the hatch. She grabbed his sleeve. You, come too. He shook his head. No, I have to deal with them. They kill you. Her words were broken, but clear. He smiled weakly. Maybe, but they won't find you. He walked back to the command chair, heart pounding. Outside, the pirate ship latched onto his airlock. Metal claws gripped the hull. The alarm sounded again. Airlock breached. He stood near the doorway as 3 masked figures stepped inside. Tall, armored, carrying weapons. Their eyes scanned the ship. Liam raised his hands. This is a science vessel. There's nothing valuable here. The leader walked forward. His voice was cold. Funny, your ship's blacked out. And hiding. That always means something valuable. Just trying to sleep, Liam replied. The pirate smirked. We'll see. They split up. One walked toward the medbay. Another moved to engineering. The leader stayed with Liam, inside the shielded pod. Sariel held her breath. The baby shifted, making a soft sound. Too soft to hear through the metal, but the danger was real. Liam could only stall so long. The pirate returned from the medbay, empty. No signs of cargo, nothing fresh. But the leader wasn't convinced. He pulled a small device from his belt, a scanner. It hummed, flashing red when pointed toward the floor near the pod chamber. What's down there? Liam stepped in front of him. Maintenance. Waste systems. You want to smell it yourself? The pirate shoved him back. Move. Liam grabbed the man's wrist. Don't. The second pirate raised his weapon. Let him go. The leader grinned. You're hiding something, Captain, and I want it. Then, a cry. Small, muffled, but real. The baby had made a sound. The leader's eyes narrowed. What was that? Liam didn't hesitate. He struck the scanner from the man's hand, grabbed his sidearm, and fired. Chaos exploded. The blast hit the pirate in the chest, throwing him back. The second fired at Liam, grazing his shoulder. Liam rolled, hit the floor, and aimed again. Another shot. Direct hit. The third turned and ran. Liam chased, firing down the corridor until the invader vanished into the boarding tube. The ship rocked. As the pirate vessel detached in panic, Liam limped back, clutching his shoulder, breathing hard. He opened the pod.sa. Ariel looked terrified, but then relieved. The child was safe. He knelt, bleeding, and smiled weakly. We're okay. They're gone. She reached out and held his hand. Tightly. Not as alien to human, but as mother to protect her. A mother. Last Plath corridor lights flickered as the emergency systems stabilized. The air was heavy with the smell of burnt circuits and scorched metal. Liam leaned against the wall, breathing hard, blood soaking into his sleeve. The ship was quiet again, but not the safe kind of quiet. It was the kind of silence that whispered, "More is coming." He looked down the hallway, toward the escape pod chamber. The image of Sariel, holding her child, staring at him with terror and trust, was burned into his mind. They were still alive, because he had fought, and now he had to decide what came next. In the medbay, Sariel gently wiped the blood from Liam's arm with a soft cloth. Her touch was careful, gentle. She wrapped the wound with one of the baby's spare wraps, tying it in a knot with her thin, trembling hands. Liam winced. You don't have to do that. Sariel shook her head. You protect. I protect too. He looked into her eyes. They were tired, but strong, stronger than anyone he had met in years. And still, she held her child close, shielding her. From the cold, from hunger, from war, from the galaxy itself. You're not just surviving, he whispered. You're fighting harder than most soldiers I've seen. She looked down, then back up. Not for me, for her. Hours passed. The ship drifted in the shadows of the broken moon, too damaged to jump again, too exposed to wait long. Liam checked the systems. The hyperdrive was damaged. Power was unstable. Shields were down to 30%. One more attack, and they were finished. He pulled up the star map again. There was one planet, an old terraforming colony, gone dark years ago. It was uninhabited, silent, but it had oxygen, water, and mountains that could hide them. He made a decision. We land there. He turned to Surreal. I can't protect you in space anymore, but if we land, you'll have shelter, a place to live. Raise her. She stared at the screen, then at Liam. You, come too. He paused, then nodded. I'm not leaving you behind. The ship groaned as it entered the planet's thin atmosphere. Fire licked the edges of the hull. Alarms wailed. The descent was Liam gritted his teeth, steering the vessel with every last bit of power he had. Soriel held the baby close. Her body pressed against the wall as the ship shook. They crashed hard into a snowy field between two jagged cliffs. Metal screamed. Sparks flew. Then silence. Liam coughed, dust and smoke swirling in the cabin. His hands shook. Panels were dead. Lights fading. They had landed, but they weren't safe. Outside, the cold was sharper than before. Endless snow stretched beyond the wreck. Mountains towered in the distance. The sky was gray and heavy with storm clouds. Liam opened the cargo hatch manually. Freezing wind rushed in. Sariel stepped out behind him, her bare feet touching the snow again. But this time, she didn't shiver. She looked up, breathed deep. This place was wild, harsh, but it was real, and it was free. Liam began unloading supplies, food packs, thermal gear, medical kits. He had enough to last a few weeks, maybe more, if they rationed. He turned to say something, but froze. Soriel was kneeling in the snow. She was shaking. He rushed to her side. What's wrong? She looked up at him, her eyes full of something deeper than fear, pain, surrender. She placed the baby in his arms. Liam stared. What? What are you doing? She pressed her forehead to the child's head, kissed her softly, whispered something, in her native tongue, a prayer, a farewell. Then she turned to Liam. You take her. No, he said quickly. What are you saying? Not strong. Dying. He shook his head. No, you made it. We made it. But now he saw it. Her lips were pale, her fingers trembling, her body too light, too hollow. Her strength had all gone to the child. She had known. She hadn't asked him to save her, only her baby. You, save her, she whispered. You, father now. No, he said again. You're not dying. We'll fix this. We'll find a way. But she reached up and touched his face. Her eyes were full of tears. Not fear, gratitude, double quotes, thank you. Those were her last words. She collapsed, gently, like snow falling. Liam held the baby tightly in his arms, the wind blowing around them. He knelt in the snow beside her body. There was no sound but the baby's soft breath and the distant howl of wind in the cliffs. He stayed there for hours, until the sky turned black, until the storm finally passed. He buried her beneath the ice, marking her grave with stones and the cloth she used to wrap her child. He didn't speak much, but he made a promise. Hope in human hands at wind was silent now. A new dawn painted the sky above the frozen planet with faint colors, gray, silver, and a touch of blue. Snowflakes still drifted through the air, but the storm had passed. Captain Liam Thorne stood at the edge of a small rise, holding the alien child close to his chest. She was wrapped in a thick blanket, her tiny hands poked out, reaching for his neck, clutching the warmth of his collar. Below them, a pile of smooth stones lay in the snow. Sorel's grave, her final resting place. Her sacrifice would not be forgotten. Liam closed his eyes and whispered softly, I'll protect her, I promise. Days passed. The wrecked ship had become a shelter. Liam worked through the cold, setting up a small camp around it. He repaired the heater core, salvaged parts for food processing, and rigged solar panels from the broken hull. The baby whom he had started calling Maya was growing stronger each day. She drank, she slept, and sometimes she looked up at him with her mother's eyes, big dot, curious, gentle. He didn't speak much, but he talked to her, told her stories. Stories about Earth, about stars, about heroes who made hard choices. He didn't think of himself as a hero. He had broken laws, defied command, disobeyed, but for her, he would do it again, every time. One night, as the stars lit the sky and the mountains glowed faintly in the moonlight, Liam heard something, a ping, a soft beeping from inside the wreck. His heart raced. He followed the sound to the comms panel. A message. A coded signal. Scrambled, but familiar. Captain Thorne, this is Commander Rendarius. We received fragments of your last logs. Fleet believes you're missing, not rogue. We're coming to you. Respond if you're still alive. Liam stared at the screen, his jaw tightening. He had thought he'd been marked a traitor, but someone had listened. He activated the transmitter, hesitated, then pressed the button. This is Captain Liam Thorne. I'm alive. I'm not alone. I need help, but not for me, for her. He attached an image, not of Sathiel, not of the crash, just Maya, wrapped in her mother's scarf. Eyes bright, life full of future. It took 2 more days, but they came. A small, quiet ship from a science fleet. No weapons, no shouting, just quiet landing thrusters. 3 humans stepped out, walking through the snow toward the wreck. Liam held Maya tightly as they arrived. One of them, a doctor, saw the child and stopped. Ishi. Liam nodded. Double quotes. Her mother saved her, gave everything, and asked me to do the rest. They were silent for a moment. Then the woman spoke, softly. She's beautiful. Liam told them everything. Not as a soldier, as a father. He told them about the cold, the cries, the long walk across frozen plains, about a mother who had no words, but gave everything, and about a child who had survived because of love, not war. And they didn't judge him. They listened. Weeks passed. A cabin was built near the wreck. Liam chose not to return to Fleet right away. He stayed. He grew food. He learned lullabies in Soriel's tongue from her old recordings. He even tried to mimic her hums, though badly. Maya grew. She laughed when he made faces. She walked stumbling at first across the snow. She spoke her first word one bright morning, holding onto his arm. Papa. He froze, then smiled, his eyes filled with tears. Yeah, he whispered. I guess that's me. Years later, the world knew her story. Fleet records had been updated. Incident 84. Unauthorized rescue results in interspecies adoption. Subject. Child of unknown race. Status. Healthy. Thriving. But for Liam, it wasn't about reports. It was about the promise he had made beside that grave, and the life he had saved, the life he had been given in return. Sometimes, at night, he'd take Maya out under the stars. They'd sit together, wrapped in furs, watching the sky. Your mother came from there, he'd say, pointing upward. She was stronger than anyone I've ever known, and she gave everything for you. Maya would rest her head on his shoulder, quiet and listening. And you? She'd ask one day, why did you stay? Liam smiled. Because someone cried for help, he said, and I was the only one who heard.